This is Reality Dispatch by Jim Minns.
He drafted his resignation letter in the email box, typed in his boss's address, and pressed send. He would never know it, and there would never arise the opportunity for him to be told. But at that moment in history, his was the final email ever to be sent in the short history of the Internet's existence. He shifted tabs to the New York Times and read the headlines to quell his nerves. He could not find an article that interested him. Some time passed, and he realized that he was offline after he clicked on a particular headline that did not load onto the article associated. Bored with the loading time, he opened another tab and pressed the address of YouTube. That, too, failed to load. The man proceeded over to his modem to check if it was on red light rather than green. As he arrived, he found it had been powered off. He switched on the light to the office via the switch, which did not illuminate. He told himself it was a blackout and headed to the fridge in the kitchen to make lunch. It was midday, and his belly had made noises during the drafting of his resignation. The pilot light was out, and the food lay in the dark. He pulled a cheese slice out of its stack and began to munch on it as nothing else aroused his appetite. He sat on the couch and pulled a phone from his pocket. He attempted to scroll online for news, but was met with the same loading pages of death the computer had shown him earlier. This wasn't right, he thought to himself. His phone was on a SIM, which meant the Wi-Fi wouldn't affect this device in accessing the internet. Yet he was unable to get anything newsworthy. Every app was down: Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. He used the time to contemplate his decision around his employment and the repercussions this would have on his professional life moving forward. He was being intimidated at work, and in his view, there was no other alternative but to remove himself from the situation. He switched on his television to a channel selection devoid of content and filled with white snow and static noise. After 3 days of no power and no information, rumors began to swirl of a global power outage and a new dark age that had emerged without warning. It would be exactly 26 months later that a touring scientific troupe of boffins from the United States and adjacent countries had traveled to his suburban Melbourne home and put on a town hall to explain what the consensus amongst the educated believed had happened on that fateful Monday. The confirmation of a solar flare knocking out telecommunications and power sources to Earth took many by surprise. The finality of the information saddened almost all who were in attendance. It was generally perceived that the outage of creature comforts would be a temporary nuisance, and that at any moment, life would return to normal. In the years that followed, the darkness that spread would lead humanity to a chaotic experiment in depravity and injustice. Those that knew the truth as it was explained to them by the traveling boffins found themselves on the receiving end of punishments for crimes that were not committed, nor would meet the definition of a breach of law. The sun gave life, and with its latest movement, humanity took it away.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimminns.substack.com.